Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back for our Edge of Extinction Episode 4 predictions and power rankings, and we are joined today by the one and only Carl Boudreaux. And we are going to break down Episode 4 of Survivor Edge of Extinction. Carl's going to do power rankings. He's going to try to do better than Bradley and Brendan, who both are doing pretty bad, but Alexa and I did awful last week, so we can't talk too much crap. But Carl, you got to bring back the survivors from the dead here, because in our little competition, they only have 15 points, and like that's good for last place. So you got to bring it back.
Wow.
Yeah. Bad
See
stuff.
what I can do, man. Hopefully I can help.
There you go. Well, thank you for coming on, and we always have to start it this way. We're only 3 episodes in. You're getting the hardest episode because we're about to do a swap, so this is going to be the biggest cluster. What are you thinking so far, though?
I mean, so far it's turned out to be a good season. I'm still wondering what this whole Extinction Island thing is gonna be about. Like, how are they gonna bring them back into the game? How many people are actually gonna be allowed to come back in the game? So I'm kind of wondering as far as how that goes. But other than that, man, it's turned out to be pretty good. Now, I myself, I'm questioning some of the moves that's being made so far, but I mean, hey, that's why we play the game of Survivor. You know what I mean? They have their reasons for making the moves they made, but me myself, I think I would have went a different direction with some of the people that's been voted out so far. I think I would have kept at least 2 of them. I would have kept them in the game. It was like no reason to really get rid of them this early because I didn't see them as no major threats at all this early in the game.
And who were those 2?
Like Reem and what's the little guy's name?
Keith.
The young guy, Keith. Like neither one of them were a threat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like you didn't have to really rush to get them out. Neither one of them were a threat at all. And nothing towards them, but I just didn't see them as being a threat. So it's kind of like get the big players out. Especially with them having returning players. Myself, I would have been gunning for a returning player because you give them legs and they gonna take off running on you, and you ain't gonna be able to stop them. So it's like get them while you can.
You would have fit in on that Common Tribes. It seems like pretty much none of them want to be working with Joe or Aubrey.
Right, absolutely. I mean, because you got to know. I mean, those guys, they know what they're doing, and if they can get in your head, you're gonna roll with them. And the further along they get, then the worse it is for you because they know exactly which buttons to push, what to say, when to say it, and so on and so forth. So I like what the Common Tribe is doing. They're being loyal to one another. Of course, y'all know I was very loyal to my people on my cast. So that part I absolutely like. But it's just like on this other tribe, it's everywhere. I mean, it's no loyalty nowhere on that other tribe. It's like just whoever we can get, we get. But it's not really making sense, And I said it in the past. In my opinion, War Dog he's running that tribe. I mean, point blank, period. He's the one that's made all the calls so far, and I applaud him. You know what I mean? But the others need to open their eyes and wake up and realize it because he's doing his thing.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't think a lot of people are noticing right now is that War Dog, every time that something comes up, War Dog is being confronted with it. So War Dog is somebody that a lot of people feel like they have to go to make sure it's okay, but nobody's throwing his name out there. It was Wentworth, it was Wendy, it was Chris, it was Keith, it was Reem. Nobody ever said, let's vote out War Dog. It never came up one time. And it's going to be interesting when a swap happens if he's able to maintain like the calmness that he's maintained for the early part of this game going into the smaller tribe. Because if he can, he could easily run that tribe too.
Exactly. With ease. Like for me, I mean, Chris should have just not said anything to War Dog and just went with the David Wright and voted out Kelly. That's what I would have did. I mean, I understand his whole thing was, well, they're part of my alliance, whatever, but it's so early in the game that you can form different alliances, so that alliance this early in the game really doesn't mean that much to you, in my opinion. But I would have definitely not said a word and voted out Kelly and just been fine with it.
And he was warned too. I rewatched it because I think in the moment Phil and I were like, we don't really get it. We don't get why Chris is gone. But David explicitly says, "Don't tell War Dog,"
Tell
and
him,
then
yeah.
what does he do? He goes and tells War Dog, and exactly what they expected to happen happened because of that. So that was a huge blunder. So it sucks for Chris, and he looked mad. Like he's probably the most frustrated one out of those threes on that island.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and he should be because again, he know at this point that he made a bonehead move. He shouldn't have said anything, and he would have still been in the game, you know. But if he comes back, he looks like he's coming back with a vengeance. That's for certain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. Now you get somebody like Carl, or I'm about to call him Carl. You get somebody like Chris out there, and you just said you didn't see Keith and Reem as really big threats. Nobody knows this island exists. Who do you think could knock Chris off to come back in? And do you think that it's just going to be Chris and a bunch of pretty like standard pre-merge boots out there on that island, and then Chris just easily wins that last challenge, come back into the game?
From the way the game is taken off so far, it's what it seems like. Now, mind you, of course, they're fixing to do a swap, but you know, unless they start taking out some people like a Aubrey or a Kelly or Joe, then there's really nobody that can go to that island that matches up with him, especially if it's anything physical. I don't see anybody that really matches up with him, you know, on the physical aspect. Now, I don't know where his head is on puzzles or anything of that nature because we don't know, again, what it's going to be like to get back into the game. So, you know, it's all going off of speculations, but I don't see nobody that could go to the Extinction Island and match up with him. I mean, Reem, she, poor thing, she's just, I don't, if Keith wouldn't have showed up there, I think she would have raised the flag. If they would have gave her another day, she would have dropped out. It's just from what I can see on the TV screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Keith, poor thing, he's just, I don't know, he's he looked like he got himself into more than what he could chew.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, the whole island? Like, how do you think you would have done it? How do you think it would have affected your season? What do you think so far?
Oh, well, I can tell you everybody on our season would have went to Extinction Island. Like everybody on my season, we all played to win. You know what I mean? So
that's why it was
wouldn't
so
have been, oh yeah, like nobody wouldn't even second guess like how they put up the whole dramatic of reading the signs and this and that. Like production would have literally had to stop us and make us give them some drama because we all would have just went straight to the left and grabbed that torch and kept on walking. You know what I'm saying? Like on theirs, it's like, oh, they're sitting there reading it. Do I want to do it? And you got a second chance. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got a second chance in your first opportunity of playing Survivor to go on and win. You know, like, come on, man. I wish we had that. I wish. But what's funny is that island is very familiar, the Extinction Island. I don't know if you guys know it, but that's the island where I got wasted at, where I had my beer reward at.
That's amazing. So you do remember that island, though? That's good. Oh
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, Brendan was saying it's near is it near the Malolo camp? Like it's what I don't know what that was for you guys.
It actually sits right across from where our merge camp was, our Kalo camp. Yeah, that island sits directly across the water. So yeah, I remember.
Do you think there were any extra beer bottles floating around there?
Nah, I hope they picked them up. You know what I mean? I would damage the earth like that.
I just wanted to go back to the Island of Extinction thing real quick. I think it would have been interesting. I met Jessica Pete back at the whole finale shenanigans, and she would have been the first person actually at the Island of Extinction from your season.
Right.
And so that would have been, I think that would have been really cool because she's the same age as Keith. I think they're both 19, or at the time that they were playing, they were both 19. And you see, I think the difference where I feel like Jessica would have just been like, I'm taking this and I'm going because she was so pissed off at the time. And Keith really did. He had, I mean, even if it was played up for, you know, drama, he still took a really long time to grab that torch. I imagine Jessica would have just been like, nope, I'm sitting here until I pass out.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Jess was hot, man. She didn't want to be out, you know. So yeah, without a doubt in my mind, she would have went right over there and grabbed it and said, "Where's the boat? Let's go." You know what I mean? But Keith struggled with it. I was wondering if he was gonna really grab it or not. And then of course I was really confused that Survivor left us with a cliffhanger. I was like, come on, guys. Is it that bad? Y'all gotta give us cliffhangers. You know what I'm saying?
That's where we are right now.
Yeah, they got a lot to fulfill, man. To keep up with the season that just went off before them. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
They're doing good so far. They're doing good so far.
I'm digging this cast. I really am, and I'm liking the way that this is going because the Extinction Island hasn't eaten up too much time, which has been nice. It's really there just at the beginning, which I'm fine with, and then we don't see it again. And that's what I like because I was worried that if we had Extinction Island popping up all the time throughout the episode,
right.
then I want to know the people who are still trying to vote each other out. I don't really need to hear about, Reem's hungry and Keith's hungry and Chris is mad and hungry. Like, I don't care.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you don't want it to take away from the people that's still in the game because we still want to get to know who those people are, So we don't get but what 42 minutes, I think, of actual airtime. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't need nothing else taking up the airtime that people want to see and get to know the players that's in the game. They're out of there. Just show them one good time and be done with it. I mean, they don't need to be the focus of the show until it's time for them to do whatever they're going to do to get back in the game.
Yep. And then I guess one more thing before we get into these power rankings, Carl, you were chosen by Vaughn, Alexa, and I to be the 4th team in our fantasy team game. I don't know if you ever heard that. I think you did, right? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
Okay.
But I remember asking you guys about playing it. You know what I'm saying? But
so
you got
now,
a team.
Now you know. So it's one of these things where what actually happens is this is the power rankings is the fun stuff. What always ends up happening is when we pick teams, we like to have a couple people left over at the end, and we would used to just give it to a phantom tribe. And then Vaughn gave us the idea you should give it to Joe Mena, and then he said you should give it to Bradley. And so for the last 2 years, it was Joe Mena and Bradley, and now it's you.
Okay.
And I want you to know that you had Reem on your team. You didn't actually get to pick your team. You just got
we gave you your team.
Yeah, you got your team. But I will say this. You had Reem and your other 2 people. Now, your points are doubled, so we do make it a little fair. But your other 2 people right now are Wendy and Victoria. So you got any thoughts on Wendy and Victoria?
I think you and I are actually currently tied in the fantasy game because you get like double the points. So you're not doing too shabby.
I got you. No, actually, Wendy, man, I think Wendy is gonna go far just because of the drama that she's brought so far. You know what I mean? Like I like that. And then they're fixing to do a swap. So she get a chance to, reprove herself. Hopefully she gets swapped to a nicer tribe or what have you. But yeah, I think Wendy may do pretty well, man. I haven't really, which of course they haven't showed too much about everybody, but I don't really know much about the Victoria chick. Like to be honest,
she's got to be.
I had to rush home, try to get caught up, because I was again going to Australia, so I had to come home and try to rush and get caught. But yeah, I know she wears the beanie. She's the redheaded chick, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah, she's gonna be one that just probably just floats under the radar, hopefully. So I mean, that's who I'm stuck with. So all I can do is root them on.
Well, that's what we need. So we're gonna need you. We're gonna need you out there on Twitter, really rooting them on. Joe Mena got really into it. Bradley, like after episode 3, didn't even know it existed. So now you're finding out after episode 3 that it does exist, and you're already down a team or already down a player. So doesn't give you much of a chance.
I'm already down one, obviously.
But I'll tell you, if you beat one of us, it's like the ultimate bragging rights because we gave you the leftovers and you still beat us. So it shows how much we actually know,
Gotcha.
But let's get into the power rankings. If everybody wants to go there.
Yeah, Carl, would you like to start us off with your number 1?
My number one actually is Lauren. What is it, Lauren? Lauren, I think her name is.
Yep. And we have the same number 1, Carl.
Yeah, we have a 3-way tie for our number 1, which is Lauren.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep, we all got her. What do you think about Lauren? Talk to us.
I mean, she's basically just like Wentworth, man. If you really pay attention to her, you know what I mean? Size, everything, So as long as she don't get under nobody's skin, she definitely has the look to, do the challenges, you know what I mean, physically. And Yeah, she's coming off as a cool person, and on top of the fact that she's somewhat hiding behind Wentworth. You
Mm.
know what I mean? So that works fine for her because nobody's really paying her attention now. If Wentworth do get voted off, then okay, then she might come to the light. But as long as Wentworth is in the game, I see it being good for her because she's staying in Wentworth's shadow.
Yeah, and she kind of is. She's in a not too threatening archetype where that archetype,
Right,
other than Kelly Wentworth, doesn't always do that well. And what better position to be in than to be a non-threatening archetype that has the most threatening person in that archetype ahead of you.
right.
You know.
Yeah, so she's definitely my number one.
Yeah. Well,
Y'all's as well. So we'll see how that works.
what do you have on Lauren? Since we all have.
Yeah, kind of very similar to what you guys said. I think the beauty of both Lauren and War Dog is they're two completely different people, but they're hiding behind the same person. And like that three-way relationship is beneficial for all of them because I feel like Wentworth's extremely aware that she is the shield, but she's okay with that because I think that those two very clearly evidenced by last week trust her throughout. But I mean, obviously, like Lauren having an idol is pretty huge. I think she can't, like, people say she might be doe-eyed around Kelly, but I haven't, like, to me, that hasn't really been shown yet. So I think she's going to be really smart about it. She can socialize with probably anybody in this group. I think if it's like 4 commas and her on this swap, she might actually like find a way to make it happen because I feel like she's just a normal person who a lot of people can relate to. And like you said, Carl, she's perfectly good in challenges. I think she's good. I think she's accommodating. I think we haven't seen it too much, but I think if someone ever gives her information that she doesn't want to hear, she doesn't have a temper. She doesn't have any kind of like meltdown, and that's a really, really great like personality trait to have in this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and when you're doing a swap episode, I feel like you got to put the people with idols at the top. So I have Aubrey at 2 because I just feel like, yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know who's going to be on whose tribe. We really didn't get to know Kama at all. Aubrey just got her idol. She's been played up as if they would have went to tribal. She would have went home. Who knows if that's even true? But now she has an idol and she's getting a swap. Things are really looking up for Aubrey. So I go Lauren 1, Aubrey 2, just because. If you have idols going into a swap and Aubrey's smart enough that if she got this idol, she's going to play it the right way, I'm feeling really good about your chances.
Right.
Yeah, Aubrey, Aubrey won the MVP last week, and I think obviously a lot of it has to do with this idol. But what Phil and I were saying in our recap is that Aubrey is probably the person on Kama who benefits the most out of this swap. I think she really needs a new lease on life. Like Phil said, that could be a total red herring, but I think she'll be better in a smaller group. And I think if she gets put with Kelly, I think the two of them would work together. I think she gets put with David, maybe they would work together. But I think Aubrey's incredibly safe because of her idol. But I think in a smaller group is how she'll succeed on this season.
I don't know because David is playing smart, man. If you think about it, David is the only second chance person that's actually trying to get out the others. You know what I mean? That's second chance people. So that's working in his favor because he's talking to all the newbies, you know what I mean? And they're feeding into it like, okay, this guy wants to get out that big target, which this person already played against. So I like the approach that David is taking with that one. You know what I mean? The rest of them haven't really came at nobody with that same type of approach.
It's kind of funny. He could almost be seen as the most threatening out of all of the returning players, and yet what he's doing is almost making you not think he's a returning player. And when he was standing next to him saying, the returning players have already had their chance, and it's like David is right there, and she's almost talking as if David's not a returning player.
Exactly.
So he's doing a really good job of, all right, if you all want to get rid of the returning players, I want to get rid of the returning players too. I'm not one of them. Like, he's doing a really good job of that. And it's kind of crazy how well he's been able to pull it off. We'll see what happens to him with a swap because, the Kama people really want to get rid of the returnees. But so if he's outnumbered, maybe he can't make it work. But I could see him just being like, no, I'm not no, we can get rid of whoever you want. I don't care. It's fine with me.
Yeah. As long as he keep that approach, then he's going to be doing very well.
Yeah. And that's an approach that I at first didn't really understand, but Phil, I think you've made it pretty clear that he's making himself less threatening by being one of them. The rest, it's so easy to like cling to what you know. And he and Wentworth, I think, were two people when they were put together. Like they're two people who I wouldn't have immediately assumed would gel anyways. But he's making himself out to be incredibly normal and a newbie. So it's working out great for him. And I hope for his sake it continues to.
He even got what is his name? Rick Devens.
Yeah. Either or.
Got him thinking, okay, I can vote you out at Final Four. Like,
yeah, I love that.
Power making challenge. You can't vote him out. You know? Like, come on, man.
Do the math, Devins.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Yeah, he's definitely got the wool over their eyes.
Yeah. And who do you have at number 2 then?
With that being said, my number 2, which is a long shot, but I want to see it happen, is Julia.
Julia's my number 3. I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm not liking how. Of course, it's still early, but you know, she's kind of getting the Dr. Allison edit in a sense right now, man, which is not cool because like, you know, last episode, I mean, she played a major role in them winning, you know what I'm saying? And it's like she's not getting the edit deserved, but maybe it'll pop up later, who knows? I mean, but yeah, I got Julia as my number 2. She's smart kid, man. And obviously she's got some physicality to her. You know what I'm saying? So I can see her, as long as she don't, you know, pull a Godfather move and too much, you know what I'm saying? And she should be fine. But yeah, I got Julia.
Yeah, I have Julia a little bit lower just because we haven't heard from her, and I'm scared that that's because she's going to be this swap boot. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think really, unfortunately for Julia, she was just the victim of her tribe kept winning, and they elected to have different narrators because I think they decided to have Victoria be the narrator last week because of the whole Joe incident, which was really great. I think the first week Aurora was kind of the narrator. And then in week 2, we almost didn't see anything from Kama except for Aubrey getting pretty much like crapped on the entire time because everybody knew everything. And we did see Julia there. She didn't get a confessional, but she was just repeating what Aubrey was saying. And it was so funny. So unfortunately, but I think now we get the smaller tribes. It's 3 tribes of 5. Maybe she could lose. Maybe now she has to work her way into it if she doesn't have the numbers on her side or something. I think this is where her story could pick up. I just don't feel like there was much story at all on Kama except for Aubrey finding the idol.
It wasn't. I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, it's kind of sort of like a gift and a curse, you know, because you win, you want to win because then when you win, you stay in the game. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, like you said, the winning tribe hardly ever gets the confessionals because nobody's going nowhere. So, you know, I reckon production feels, well, hell, we got another week, so let's focus on this losing tribe because somebody from that tribe is going home. So let's, you know, pay more attention to that tribe and give them their chance to speak or what have you.
Yeah, and what killed Julia is that there was only an hour premiere because the hour premiere doesn't give enough time to get to everybody, and it was her and her and Chris.
And Chris.
Yeah.
He is getting voted out in episode 3 coming, you know, we're supposed to be really rooting for him now because he got blindsided, you know. We're supposed to like feel for this guy, and he didn't get anything episode 1.
Right.
Yeah.
But my number 3, I have Eric at 3, and I'll do my 4 because it's just in line. I have Eric 3, Gavin 4. I think that just based on what we've seen so far, these two guys have gotten their really little bit of screen time while Kama's winning, and it's been them together. We want to vote out returnees, yada, yada. So I'm curious to see if they swap together because we've really seen them as a pair. And if they end up swapping together and David ends up on their tribe, that's where I fear for David because all we know about Eric and Gavin is they want to vote out a returning player and that they're close. So I get a little worried in that situation. But I do think that if I had to guess, I would say Eric and Gavin are going to end up on the same tribe because that's really the only bond that we know about, you know, personally, aside from being told there's a group of 6 against a group of 3, but we've really seen the two of them actually communicating and saying that they're close together.
Right. The Eric and Gavin one is pretty cool. If I could say, I have Gavin pretty high up on my charts, and the reason why is he reminds me of my boy Kentucky Nick, man. He's that Southern guy, you know what I mean, with that Those smooth, charming accent. Don't get overexcited about much, just goes with the flow. So I got him pretty high up as far as getting there as well.
All right. Well, who do you have at number 3 then? Let's hear it.
The guy, actually, Gavin.
There you go.
So
That's
he's
what I
pretty
thought.
darn high.
It sounded like it. I mean, hey, when you got it, we're just rolling through. I mean, I went to number 4. Alexa did her number 3. So Carl, you could jump in whenever you want. But yeah, the way you were talking, I was like, it sounds like he's about to say Gavin anyway here. So what else are you getting from Gavin? I mean, obviously you just played with Nick. Now these castaways never saw Nick play. So Gavin, they might be underestimating really hard. But what do you think about him? Do you think he can actually win it, or do you think that he's somebody who's just going to make a deep run?
I think he's just gonna make a deep run, to be honest. What's crazy, man, is I honestly think, and I hope it's not the case, but I honestly think it's gonna be a returning player to win it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just have that feeling it's gonna be a returning player to win it. But,
and which one do you think would win it if you're looking at it right now?
Aubrey.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, based on how she's been doing these first 3 episodes, I could definitely see that happening too.
Although I like what Joe's doing, he's staying under the radar, man. Normally, Joe's usually kicking tail. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he ain't playing as the old Joe that's on top, doing everything, winning everything. He's just staying off into the back.
What did you think about that scene last week when Victoria and Ron are talking to each other in the water and Joe sneaks up on them? I thought that was probably like the best moment Joe has had in his Survivor game. What did you think about that?
Yeah, he that's why I say, man, he's staying low key. He's not forcing himself onto anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody obviously know who Joey Amazing is, but he's not playing as Joey Amazing this go round. He's just playing as plain old guy that just wants to play the game, and it seems to be working out in his favor. Like I say, he's not in the middle of everything, so nobody sees him as this huge threat as of right now. If they do, it definitely hasn't been put on our TVs to pick up on that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So what the role he's playing right now is working great in his favor. He should just keep it up, to be honest.
To Joe's credit, with what happened with Victoria and Ron, he very well could have had a meltdown. And maybe we didn't see it. Maybe he freaked out, but he handled that really well. He just said nothing, kind of pretended to have misheard her, and then obviously went over to Aubrey and Aurora and was like, oh my God, this is not good. But he, in the grand scheme of how that could have gone, I feel like everyone's been in a situation where someone's talking crap about them and then don't realize that they're right next to that person. It's pretty awkward. And I think he did a decent job handling it.
Right. Right. He could have lost it. He could have went overboard with it, but he didn't. He chose to just stay chill and, not let it bother him. Because he could have really freaked out at that point.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any of those moments on your season that you can remember? Were there anywhere somebody's just sitting right behind you and you had no idea they were there, or even if you weren't saying anything bad, or did you walk up on anybody talking about The Godfather?
Nah, because I didn't do all that, man. I just stayed chill. I basically stayed around the camp, man. I didn't do all of that walking around and whispering and I mean, they showed y'all, man. When I wanted somebody, I vocalized it. You know what I'm saying?
Come over to my hammock.
Yeah, it wasn't a secret thing. I mean, it's like, do all of that for what? I don't have time for all of that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if we know who the threat is, why do we have to go around doing all that whispering and and carrying on? Let's just be real about it. Do what we got to do and move on from there. That's just how I was. Mm-hmm. It worked, until
it
people got disgusted with it, I guess. You know what I mean? And it did what it did. I still to this day say the moves that was made was not very bright in my opinion, but that is what it is.
Yeah. I just, now that we have a guy on the show calling himself the War Dog, I want you to go back on the show and I want you to call yourself the Godfather the entire time and talk in the
Godfather.
Talking third person, right?
Yeah. I need you to say the Godfather too. Yeah. It's got to be the Godfather does this. The Godfather. I need that. That's what I need in my life.
I don't think they want me back on that show, man.
No.
I don't think so.
We'd love to have you back on.
I don't think they want me. I don't think I was their archetype in a sense. I mean, I didn't give them the TV that they want, you know.
I don't know. I could watch you guys hanging out on Extinction Island all day.
Right.
I would. Hey,
that scene was good.
You get voted out too, and then the next thing you see is Gabby gets voted out the next week, and she has to come over to Extinction Island and see you. That would be something.
Instead of walking into Ponderosa. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm.
Suck.
That's what I'm hoping will start happening now. Is that some of these people, like a Wentworth, gets voted out next, and when she has to go over there. She's got all these people pissed off at her. I mean, that's not. I don't think Wentworth's going to go this week, but that's what I'm hoping starts to happen. Is that because now Chris is going to go, and I don't think Wendy. I don't think Reem and Keith are going to be very angry at Chris.
No.
But I want some of that. I want some real.
I want some tension.
I'm really going to be surprised if Keith doesn't just quit, man. I don't know. I just don't see it in him.
I think crazily enough, I think Reem is going to last longer than Keith. I know Reem has been there longer and she was alone. I think Reem's got more shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
absolutely.
I just didn't even understand them voting out. For me, I didn't understand that one. I really didn't understand them voting out Keith. I mean, again, Chris got himself voted out. So, you know, the first two, I didn't see the reasoning for it at all.
Yeah, and you just had 3 straight tribal councils on a tribe that has 2 returning players, and none of the returning players went home. And one of them, their name didn't even come up. You know, Wentworth was always in the mix, but for the most part, it was really focused on Wendy, Reem, Keith.
Right.
Wentworth was always kind of a plan B. Maybe we can get her this time, and I think that's going to be a huge regret for some of these newbies when they get down the line and realize Kelly Wentworth is still in the game, and now she gets better as she goes on.
And that's what I'm saying. If they don't watch out, that's what's going to take place. That's exactly what's going to take place. Just let her get her legs under, and you ain't going to stop her. I mean, 'cause she knows how to play the game.
Yeah.
You know.
So who wants to go with their number 4 first here, Alexa or Carl?
You go ahead, Carl. My 3, 4, or we already know my 3. My 4 and 5 kind of go hand in hand.
Okay.
My number 4, that's going to be a hard one, but I'm going to go with Eric.
Good call. Gavin and Eric, I feel like until otherwise, we're just going to keep those two next to each other.
Until they're split up, yeah. Until they're split up, and then see how their game plays, which we're going to hopefully find out this episode when this swap comes. But I'm interested to see how this is going to pan out, because it's almost kind of going to sort of be like our swap, man. It, you know, with the Kama tribe having more people, you know, so how are they going to line out? Because you're going to end up with 3-2, 3-2 probably on every one, you know. So if they play it like that, then that's the David Goliath swap all over again. And with that being said, we have to see who's going to make the move. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to be able to turn who? Who's going to be Alec from this season? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's basically how it's played out.
And I think there's going to be an Alec out there. I think Kama's not getting along as great as we might be thinking. You know, it's this 6 versus 3. But, hey, if Aurora ends up with, like, let's say it ends up Aurora, Julia, Victoria, and then 2 of the Manu tribe, Aurora's going to jump ship because Victoria and Julia haven't bonded with Aurora. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity, despite the fact that 3-2, 3-2, 3-2 could really suck. I think there's a lot of opportunity on this season for some blindsides.
Right.
Yeah. Alexa, who's your 4 and 5?
So my 4 and 5 are Eric and Gavin. I think we've kind of talked about them to the extent that we can right now. I don't know if they'll end up together. It probably makes sense that they end up together. I think, Phil, you're the one who said that. But if they break up, they're just going to come back together at the merge. Like, there's got to be some reason why they've continued to show that duo, because they could have shown any duo. Apparently, there's a group of 6, and one of them we haven't even spoken to yet. So there's something with them. I can't imagine that one of them goes home unless like Eric blindsides Gavin or Gavin blindsides Eric. But why would that happen right now? That wouldn't make any sense to me.
Right.
So past my 5, like my next 6 are just, I might as well have just rolled a die and put them in certain places. My middle ground is a little confusing.
Yeah, I feel that too. I mean, I actually have Joey Amazing at 5. I think Joey Amazing's fine because if you get on the smaller tribe, I don't think you want to vote him out the first chance you get. And also, I doubt Joey Amazing's tribe is going to lose. Mm-hmm. Like, they have to lose. They can get second place, and he's fine. And I think that I said this on the last podcast. I think Joe might break his own record for longest time in the game being safe because now with 3 tribes, that really benefits somebody like Joe. So I have him at 5, and yeah, they can talk about how they want to vote out, the returnees and all that, but I just don't see Joe going this week. Maybe he does somehow lose at some other point, and they vote him out right before the merge because they know how big of a threat he is. But I'm not feeling it at all.
Gotcha.
I think I don't know. Maybe this is me potentially being bad at Survivor, but if I was with Joe for a little bit, and I keep winning, I'm not going to get rid of him yet. I haven't gone to tribal council yet. Everyone seems to like me. Everyone seems to be getting along. I think I'd sit on it for a little bit. I get why they wouldn't want to target him before Aubrey. I completely get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What? Who do you have at 5, Carl?
I got David at 5.
David. Okay. So you're feeling good about David overall and this week.
Yeah, because I'm liking David's game, man. He's playing with the newbies instead of against them. He's using them to his advantage. You know what I mean? Almost like he's a new player himself, and they're biting on it. So I got David up there at 5, thinking that if he continues that strategy, then he's just gonna keep rolling on. Mm-hmm. And he's the softest spoken out of all your returning players. You know what I mean? Like he's not this, he's not intimidating like Joe. You know what I'm saying? Kelly can kind of be a little intimidating as well. Whereas Aubrey, I think you can just kind of sort of see through Aubrey's gameplay. Like Aubrey went and told everybody, every new player on her tribe, the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Like, all they got to do is just go back and collaborate that. Like, okay, yeah, she's definitely blowing smoke up our ass. I mean, she can't see all of us being exactly the same as her. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, if they're just paying attention to that, then that ain't going to work for her. But David is the most quietest out of all of them, the most soft-spoken, and can kind of he can also kind of sort of take on that woe is me role, that little, like I'm a scared puppy type role.
And that's a good role to be in.
Yeah.
And Carl, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth there, because that's how there's certain people that you talk to who were on Survivor, and you get the vibe of like they were on a reality TV show. Like they played Survivor. Like that about them. Like when you talk to Aubrey, she played Survivor. Like you know. Right. But then you talk to somebody like David, and it's kind of just like, hey man, like what's going on? I'm here. And like I kind of get that, and no, like this is a good thing. I get the same kind of vibe from you. Like when we would talk to you at the finale, it would be like, oh yeah, that's Carl. Like that's my friend Carl. That's not like Survivor Carl. There's a difference there. And I think that out of all of these people, David definitely does the best job.
Right.
Of not being Survivor. Like Wentworth is Survivor Kelly,
Yeah.
Yeah, like some of them they eat, sleep, breathe Survivor. You know what I mean? It's like it's written all over their face. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you have some that you don't, like you say, you don't get that vibe from them. They're just a normal person, that's just not gonna overthink things and over strategize and do all of that type of stuff to put that target on their back.
Exactly. Well, my number 6 is actually David's best friend in Rick. Because I think Rick, out of everybody on the season, is the most likable person on this season. So I think that with a swap, he's going to be able to get in with people. Because I think that people are just going to open up to Rick because he's just a good guy. And really, if you want to make the argument that War Dog was calling all the shots there, you could also make an argument that Rick was kind of calling the shots too. Because Rick could have easily voted out Wentworth if he wanted to. He kind of appeased War Dog, which could mean that War Dog's calling the shots. But I do think that Rick right now is just he's in that same thing as David, where it's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about me. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm just having a good time. I'm laughing, you know. So I really like where he's at going into a swap.
True that. Yeah. Yeah. As long as he stay with David, I mean with David, then he'll be fine. Now, the minute he try to cross and flip and turn against David, then that might blow up on him.
Yeah, but I think
as long as he stay riding with David, he's good.
Yeah, and I think this is a legitimate alliance between the two of them. You know, I think that they're actually like friends. I don't think that this is just. This almost reminds me of Tyson and Jervis. You know, back in Blood versus Water, where like they were buddies. You know, they were having a good time out there, and like, you know, Tyson was always going to win over Jervis, but they were just having a good time while they were playing the game. And I think that's what Rick and David are doing. So I don't really see either of them flipping on the other until way later.
Yeah, this is a very mutually beneficial relationship. I don't see them flipping on each other until, like Phil said, until the very end, assuming they make it there.
So, who wants to do their 6 next?
Go ahead, Carl.
Actually, I got Ron at my number 6.
I think that's good.
Ron he's gonna be the glue that keeps everything together. You know what I'm saying? He's keeping everybody sane and having fun. You know, that's kind of how I see it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's got everybody dancing and carrying on, and you know, and of course he's another one that's soft spoken. He's not gonna be this big brash type of player. You know what I'm saying? So that could work out in his favor. And he's smart. I mean, we all know he's very smart. So I got Ron up there for 6.
And I have him at number 7. So like I'm in the exact same thinking as you. I just think like there's no reason to get rid of him yet. And I think he got along. He was included in that group of 6.
Yeah.
And it seems like him and Victoria are you know, they're at least a pair within that group of 6 somewhat. So I think that's how they kind of paired it off to me. It seems like it's like Julie, and Victoria are kind of like a group of 3, but Victoria almost feels closer with Ron, and then Eric and Gavin are doing their own thing. But that was the group of 6 they called it. So I don't see Ron. It would take a lot for Ron to go home this week. He would really have to have a bad episode and have like one of those moments where like you just kind of break down as a person on the show.
What I really like about Ron, and it's something a lot of people were talking about, that advantage just expired and we didn't see anything. Ron, I think, put out like a YouTube video explaining like what he would have done with it or what his play was. And either he or someone brought up, like, he can still use that as a fake idol, a fake advantage. There's a lot of good stuff he can use with that. And he's a smart guy. I'm pretty sure he's a super fan. I think like everyone on this show's a huge fan. He's smart enough where he's not just going to throw that out. He's going to use that to his advantage. So I have Julie at 6 and I have Ron at 7. So I have him in a really similar position to you guys. But like you said, Carl, he's like, it's literally his job to bring people together. Like he does a very good job of, maybe he's not always kumbaya, but just being a good glue that'll keep people together. So I have really high hopes for Ron. I think he's going to be good.
Sorry, I cut out there. So I don't know what the last thing that was said, but Alexa, I'm pretty sure you were clean. I'm pretty sure it was my internet. Carl, who's your number 7?
For number 7, ooh, it's a tough one, man, because I want.
Yeah, this is where it gets weird.
Yeah, one of these returnees up there, but it's just so scary though, man. Especially after you know, I want to see how this swap is gonna go. You know, like who's gonna match up with who.
You have the hardest week, Carl. This is the hardest week to do the power rankings. So yeah.
With that being said, I'm gonna put Dan De Silva up there.
Okay.
That's what his mama named him, so that's what I'm gonna call. No, it's the War Dog, man. I'm gonna put War Dog up there. I'm gonna put War Dog up there, number 7.
I literally did not know
who is Dan, right?
Yeah. I was like, that was your season, Carl. He's not on.
That's what his mama named him, Dan.
Do you think like his family calls him the War Dog, or you think they call him Dan?
No, I honestly think his mama, if they're at the same house, she screams Dan. No, I don't need that. Yeah, man, you know what I mean? Yeah, I
Yeah.
cannot see his mom or his dad saying War Dog at all.
Yeah.
At
It would
all.
be hilarious though.
Yeah, no. It would be funny, but yeah, no, I don't see it happening.
And it's probably Daniel, you know, it's like he's in
Yeah,
trouble. So
yeah,
he's Daniel.
exactly.
And yeah, exactly.
Well, you know how
I
it
like
is.
imagining this. Like
When
War
you're in
Dog.
trouble, they call you by your whole name. You know how that goes. That's when you know you
Exactly.
were in trouble as a kid. When they say your whole name, it's like, oh shit, they
Well,
caught
that's cheating of you. You're in Carl all the time, so you just must have thought you were in trouble all the time, huh?
Well, no, I was Carl Jr. So if I heard the Junior come out, then I knew it was
That's
something.
it. There you
Yeah.
go. Hey, that's it. Well, I mean, Carl, I'm just following you now. I have War Dog at 8, and I think that there's too much good coming from him right now. If he was going to have this big blow up because there was a swap and all that, we would have seen some of that blow up by now because there's some secret scenes that they could have shown to show him as more of a villain. And they're not,
most definitely.
you know, I mean, we saw the whole one where I'm sure everybody has seen it at this point because Wendy was like vocal about it, but where Wendy walks away and he's got the stick under his arm and he's hopping around, and they could have aired that on the show, but they elected not to for a reason. So I think War Dog, Dan DeSilva, Daniel, I think
whoever
he's in good
that
shape.
person is.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sure I'll have to hear about that one. He go to post it on Twitter. He's gonna say something.
Oh yeah, Carl, you just dug your own grave on that one.
Oh man, that is so good.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, he loves Twitter, in case you didn't know. I know you guys have already interacted because you were coming on this podcast. So I want to know, what did you say on Davies? What was your instant reaction on Davies' account that he called you out for?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you, man. You know what I'm saying? I was just having fun on there with Davey. You know, that's my little brother, so I was just having fun with it. A lot of his followers think I'm old, but you know, I just had to let him know, don't let that age fool you, man. I can still get down with the best of them. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just pretty much what it was.
It's crazy. If you're over 30 now, Carl, you're just old. That's just how it works. So
that's
seriously,
what they think. You know, just because I'm not big into social media, I guess it makes me old. Like, no, it's not the case.
That's a good thing you're not on social media.
Case, you know.
you make the right amount of appearances, in my opinion. You show up like to add in a little bit, and then it's like, all right, now I'm going to disappear. Like, when are we going to get another Carl message? You know, when's Carl gonna start promoting his fantasy team of Victoria and Wendy? When are we going to start hearing about that?
As long as they get up there, man. I just hope they get up there. Man. So.
Who do you have at 8 then? Oh wait, go ahead.
Actually, since you said that, I was fixing to put Victoria at 8. I was fixing to say Victoria and Julia stay close like they are, even if they get split up for one another, then I can see her floating right there in the middle. I actually think she's going. I don't know when they're gonna. Are they gonna merge? I mean,
they're gonna merge.
Like, yeah, I'm not feeling it, man. This whole Extinction Island thing, man. It's like you don't know when somebody's coming back in the game, and But anyways, I'm gonna put Victoria at 8. Like I said, if she stays pat with Julia, then I think those two can kind of sort of.
I've got Victoria there too. I think Victoria is playing a really good game. I think she's getting a lot of screen time on Kama, and that could be construed as she's going to be the one to go. But I think at this point, I think she's going to last a really long time. I've done like a big 180 on her. I think she dealt as well as Joe dealt with that awkward situation. She dealt with it fairly well too. She could have ran away. She could have tried to like talk about it more. They all just like moved on quickly. I think she'll handle that well. Clearly people are talking to her. We have her and Julie talking about idols. She's talking to Ron. She seems to be in with everybody. And I think she's in a really good spot. I know I have her in the middle. I have her at 8, but I think Victoria's got some legs. I think she's gonna go pretty far.
But haven't we learned from watching my season that we can't go off of that screen time stuff anymore?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
I got her so low, guys.
Really?
I'm
All right.
so
Well, this
scared.
is good. We gotta switch. This is good. We're not all in agreement.
Yeah, finally I'm hopping off. Well, I'll tell you what though. I
hopped on as you hopped off, so it's perfect.
I'm like the biggest like proponent of Victoria preseason. Carl, I know you didn't see the fantasy game podcast, but we had Vaughn on, who always kicks the crap out of us in these fantasy games. He always beats us. His team's always great. I think he had all 3 of the final 3 last year. That tells you how good his team was. While my best finisher was actually Christian. So, but on this season, I got down to the end in the last round and I had to pick between Ron or Victoria. And I took Ron. And I figured that meant that Alexa or Vaughn was going to end up taking Victoria. And they both let her slide by, and Vaughn actually ended up taking Keith. And I just didn't see it. I thought Victoria was going to be great, but I'm a little worried that if she swaps with Aubrey or she swaps with Joe, she is screwed because she got caught. So
she swaps with Joe, that's going to be tough. You're right.
Yeah. If she ends up with Joe, you're right about that. As long as she's not with Joe, then she'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah. I do agree with that. My number 9 is Julie. So Alexa, I'm not too much lower than where you have her. We do get in this little preview that they showed, it's them getting ready to drop the buffs, and the confessional we hear is actually Julie. So, we're going to get a little more Julie content. I'm not too scared for her though. Cause I think she's gotten like, she's there. She's there, and I'm not worried that she's going to be the weakest or not fit in. I think people are going to like her because I think Kama liked her as a whole. So I'm feeling good about Julie this week.
That's the older chick, isn't it? Yeah, Julie.
The toy maker.
Which we always have to ask.
We have a question for you.
Carl, how do you feel about wooden toys?
About wooden toys?
That's what she made.
Specifically wooden toys.
Y'all want the real Carl to answer that, man?
Maybe not.
I know this is an uncensored podcast, but we'll see.
I think it's a joke, man. I mean, come on, man. Wooden toys don't do nothing.
Except scare the shit out of me.
Oh, look at my toy. I mean, like,
Carl, I'm gonna buy
but
it's
a nice craft, though. Don't you do that? If you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
buy me something that I'm gonna use.
I'll put a beer in it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell her to make one that's like a beer holder. You know what I mean?
Like a wooden koozie. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work, but in my head it does.
It's gonna be a heavy ass can of beer.
Sorry, then you're getting your workout in while you're drinking beer. That's
you get doing some bicep curls.
Yeah, pretty much right.
Yeah. We've gotten 3 different takes so far. Bradley just laughed. Brendan said he doesn't care, and you just said no way. So there we go.
Our 4th person's gonna have a very inspirational, good response.
Of course she will.
I mean, if she's successful with it, you know what I mean, then props to her, But
yeah,
I mean, who knows?
Oh, hey, it's one of those things. It looks really cool, but it's not so much a toy. It's more of just like you put it like on like a mantle or something, right? It's like, hey, that looks cool. Julie made that. That's amazing, but you don't really play with it. It's not like I'm gonna go like.
Then it should be called a toy then.
I agree.
Toys are meant to be played with.
This is getting pretty existential, guys. What is a toy?
Yeah, we gotta find is Julie on social media? We need to ask her, what do you define as a toy?
She is. We do follow her or follow her on whatever thing. So hopefully we can contact her at some point.
Yeah, we got to get her on so we can talk all about wooden toys, and she can just put them up in front of me, and I can have nightmares for a week. But Carl, who do you have at number 9?
I got Wendy at number 9.
Wow.
So finally somebody not putting Wendy at the bottom. So what are you thinking with Wendy here?
I think Wendy is going to do well with this swap. And the girl's a beast in the water, man. Y'all see her in that water, man?
She's very athletic.
Even with a bum ankle, it was like, what the hell? Like, she's a fish. But yeah, man, I got Wendy, man. If she can just get away from, the guys that she was with and get to some new people, then I think she'll be fine. Even if she stayed with maybe one or 2 of them, then I think she can turn it around. Because she really hadn't done anything. She she got dealt a bad hand. It was kind of like, if you think about it, it was kind of like me in the, in the beginning of our season. You know what I mean? I had Pat and I had Jess, as well as B. You know what I mean? And it's like your first two people get taken out from the very beginning. What do you do? You know what I mean? You kind of lose it a little bit. And that's kind of the place that she's in. Like her two people gone. So it's like she kind of lost their mind a little bit with the whole Flint and the chickens thing. But I don't really see her doing anything harmful. You know what I'm saying? I think she could actually turn it around.
Now, in the preview, we see that she's really seriously considering getting rid of the chickens again, and it's like, oh, I'm going to set
I
them.
believe she does get rid of
It
the
almost
chickens.
looks like she does. Now, if she gets rid of the chickens, Carl, how do you feel about that?
Well, me personally, I would be pissed because I use those chickens for nourishment when I was on the show. So I would be pissed at that aspect of it. I mean, but again, it could possibly work for her too, because if she get rid of the chickens, okay, everybody's gonna view her as this crazy person, right? But then at the same time, it's like, why do we have to rush to get rid of this crazy person? She's no longer a threat. You know what I mean?
That's David's point.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we don't have to rush to get rid of her. Nobody's gonna like her. Nobody's gonna want to vote for her. So it's like we might as well just keep her around. That in turns, unfortunately, that goes down as becoming that goat. You know what I mean? It's like, let's keep her. Might as well go to the final three with her because she ain't getting no votes. She done pissed everybody off. She freed the chickens, for God's sake. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if that happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, that can get her a long ways in this game.
Yeah.
If they're playing the game using their head in that facet of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I might as well take her with me because ain't nobody feeling her.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I have Wendy much lower again, Carl. So we're disagreeing here, but I do think you bring up a good point. Devins and David were ready to work with Wendy, and Chris was ready to work with Wendy because they saw through it. Who's a bigger threat, Wentworth or Wendy? Wentworth every time. You don't want Wentworth getting too deep in this game because she can win. Now, plus you have Wendy with a bomb ankle. I mean, she's not going to be able to win challenges unless it's just swimming, because once she has to do anything other than swim, she's going to, it's going to be brutal. And then she's also shown that she's going to get rid of chickens and do kind of crazy things. So I agree with you. It's just who's playing with their heart and who's playing with their head and who's going to end up on her tribe. That's what it comes down to with that. And so I have her much lower because I still think that a lot of people are going to be playing with their heart.
Yeah. Which is definitely not the thing you want to play Survivor with.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. That's what pretty much everybody says once they come in, right? And yeah. Alexa, who's your 9?
My 9 and 10, the only reason I'm putting them together is because I think they're in similar situations. I have Rick at 9 and War Dog at 10. And that's pretty low, but I think everything that you guys have said about them is pretty on point. The only reason I have them low is strictly just because of like percentages. There's a pretty good chance that both of them will be in the minority on these really small tribes. And I think both of them are smart enough players, smart enough people, social enough people where they'll be able to fit in just fine. So I really think they're going to be okay. And both of them have, like, Rick's got a really tight ally. War Dog has, I think, 2 really tight allies. So there's a chance that they'll end up with them. I think they're in a really good spot. But I'm really just putting them this low because of math.
Yeah. War Dog seems Carl, who did you say was loyal before? Because War Dog seems to me like somebody who's going to play this loyally.
He's very loyal.
He's loyal. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to play loyal. Rick the same way. I think Rick's going to stay loyal as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I like how she matched both of those up together, because I think those two guys will stay loyal with one another.
Yeah, I agree. And they'll stay loyal to just Manu, even though the two of them aren't really like best friends. They'll just be ready to do that. Who do you have at 10?
My 10 is Joe.
Yeah.
I
have Joe right. I have Joe at 11. I have him at
11?
The same spot.
I had Joe at 10 and I had Aubrey at 11.
Okay.
So you're nervous for both these returnees going into the swap.
coming into
Or
the swap.
all of them, it sounds like, because you haven't mentioned Wentworth or David yet.
No, he mentioned David. He had David at 5.
Oh, yeah, you did mention
Yeah, I
David,
got David up at 5. Yeah, I think David's going to be okay with the swap.
Mhm.
But these returning players, I think this is where at least one of them for certain, if not two of them, the swap thing might affect them real tough, depending on how the swap is set up. Again, it all depends on that. You know what I mean? If you can get someone like a Julia and a Victoria on the same tribe with, say, a Ron, you know what I mean? Then I can guarantee you those three are going to stick together to try to get one of those returning players out. You know what I mean? So it's all going to be based on how the tribe's formed.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And for that reason, I actually put Wentworth ahead of David, and I go Wentworth at 10 and David at 11. I really believe that Kelly Wentworth has survived the rough patch of her pre-merge season. I think she's good till the merge now. She's getting a swap. She's probably, between her or Lauren, the strongest female player in the game. Maybe not swimming because, as we mentioned, Wendy, but I think as a total package. And so I think she's going to be able to win a challenge, win 2 challenges maybe. She might end up with at least one person. Either she gets War Dog or she gets Lauren. That's somebody she's really close with. Right. And as long as she doesn't end up with David, she doesn't really have anybody gunning for her. So I think Kelly Wentworth is going to be fine until the merge hits, and then I think she'll become a threat all over again. So I have Wentworth at 10, David at 11. I fear just for David in case he ends up with a group that just wants to get rid of returning players and won't even give him a chance. And I don't think that will happen this week, but that's the only reason I worry for him. Although I would love to see David win this game, and I could see it happening as well.
Yeah.
So whoever wants to do 12.
I'll go. So 11. So Joe is going to be my eliminator. I think Joe. I know I didn't know when to pick him as my eliminator, but I guess I'm doing it this week. I think one of you guys made the point that he's probably not even going to go to tribal council now that he's on a small tribe. I think he'll be fine. But there is enough. He's going to be with a bunch of commas, and a lot of commas don't want to work with him. I think if he ends up with Kelly, that could be really good because they've played together before. If he ends up with David, I don't think David's going to want to work with him. So there aren't many people who, if he does go to tribal council, he's going to be able to depend on. So that makes me nervous for him, but I really just think he's not even going to get there. So I think Joe's in a fine spot. My 12 is Aurora, who I'm pretty nervous about because the only content we got about her was that she is on the outs and she's hanging out with like Most Wanted 1 and 2. So that makes me nervous for her. We really haven't seen much. We got a little bit of a narrator role in her first 2 episodes. But I don't know. I mean, if she ends up without Aubrey or Joe, that's her best chance because then she could meet some Manus, get in with old commas who she maybe wasn't aligned with earlier. So I think she's got a lot of potential, but just from what we've been given about her, I'm a little nervous for her.
I'm scared for Aurora.
I'm with Aurora.
Yeah, just to put it bluntly.
Wait, did you say you have Aurora at 12, Carl, or you have her low?
Yeah. No, I have her at 12. Yeah.
Okay. And what's your take on her?
It's not much that she's really doing. She's just there. You know, it's like you gotta have your hand in something. You can't just be there. You know what I mean? And that's just how I see her.
Phil, who's your number 12?
My 12 is Julia. So
you have Julia quite low.
Yeah, I have her that low just because I'm a little scared of, like she hasn't gotten a confessional. So maybe she just
not great.
Again, I keep telling y'all have to learn from her season. Look at Allison. Allison wasn't getting no TV time. She went all the way to 5th. You know what I mean?
I hope Julia does. Well, that's what I still have 3 people below Julia who have gotten a lot more screen time than she has.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Carl. I do agree. I just get scared.
We might have the same bottom 3.
I don't want to put. Yeah, I think because I still have Aurora available. But when I look at Julia, I don't want to put her up at like 2 or 3, and then all of a sudden I look and I'm like, crap, she's getting 4 confessionals tonight and she just gets booted and I knew nothing about her and just put her up there because I did. And that's kind of what I did with Chris last week. And I got way too confident with Chris. So I'm trying not to get that confident again based on that. Because I put Chris at number 4 last week and he went home and that I took a big hit. So I want to have Julia here at 12. Carl, so Alexa just brought up the Eliminator. Do you know the Eliminator game? Did you listen to that part?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
So pretty much what we do is it's kind of like a football pick'em thing. So everybody, we each pick one person that we don't think is going to go home that week with the goal, like as people are getting voted out, you're running out of people. And so as that's going on, it's getting harder and harder to pick people. And if the person gets voted out, you're out. So what we do is Alexa, myself, and Vaughn all do one, and then the Survivor team has to do one together. So the 2 people who have been picked before you Ron was picked by Bradley because he said, screw it, I just want to pick the safest person. So you want to have people left at the end. So there's like a little bit of a strategy to it. And then Brendan took Aurora. Which might actually have been a great pick because if Aurora goes this week, he took her at like the best time to take her. Mm-hmm. So you have one person that you're taking this week who's not Ron and not Aurora, who you don't think is getting voted out this week. You don't have to say it now, but I just wanted to get it on your radar.
Okay.
Because I'm taking David and Alexa said hers was Joe. So I just wanted to throw out that mine was David. Because I don't think he goes this week, but I'm scared that he might go.
Yeah, we picked two pretty like questionable picks, but that's good. I feel it's like what we're supposed to be picking.
Yeah, and I took all 3 girls that weren't Aubrey on the
mine is
from yeah. So
if that's the case, then I'm gonna go with Kelly.
Picking Kelly.
Yeah, because I don't think she's gone this week, but then it ain't gonna be much longer before she is gone.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got it.
I feel like she's going to go right around the merge. I really do, but I feel like she's fine till the merge. But see, you're using the right strategy. Bradley used the strategy of he put Ron as number 1 in his power rankings and then said, all right, and I'm also going to take Ron as my eliminator pick because he doesn't want to be the survivor who screws it up for everybody.
I got you.
So where were we?
Speaking of Kelly, she's my 13.
Okay.
Phil, you almost convinced me to move her up because of what you said. Like she's past her rough patch. But what I fear for her is I think if she ends up with Lauren, she's fine because if she's in trouble, Lauren's got an idol. There's just not as much wiggle room when there's 5 people. She ends up with War Dog, I think that'd be good. But if she ends up with David, she's screwed, and she's probably going to end up with a lot of commas, and a lot of commas don't want to deal with a returning player. So I'm just nervous because I feel like anyone she ends up with who's not Lauren or War Dog, then she's in deep trouble.
What if she ends up on a tribe with Joe?
I think that would be good for them. I guess, right?
I think if they play together, and if they're both feeling like they're on the hot seat, I feel like they would jump together and say, we'll never vote for each other. Let's get rid of some of these newbies.
And then maybe Aurora's on that tribe. And then there you go, So I think you're right. I think she ends up with Joe. That could work too.
Mm-hmm. Carl, who's your 13?
I got the Julie chick at 13.
What do you think about Julie. Other than her profession?
If Julie, for one, Julie has sat out of every challenge so far, which is good and it's not good because now when she go through the swap, they're gonna look at her as weak. Yep. And if they just so happen to lose, well, we all know you want to get rid of the weakest person that's not helping us win. So that's why I got her down there at 13 because of her lack of participation in the challenges. And
there's nowhere to hide on a 5-person tribe. I mean, you know that because you were on one. There's just nowhere to hide. And I think I still feel okay about Julie, but I do understand what you're saying. She has sat out twice, and anybody who hasn't played with her, now you look and you say, okay, well, if Kama thought she was the weakest girl, then we should think the same thing. There's no reason to keep her. That's a good point.
Right. What are you capable of?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My 13 is Victoria. So despite the fact that I keep on saying only great things about Victoria, I keep putting her low in my rankings and keep waiting for the day that she's going to get voted out. But I just her getting caught like that last week scares me. And if she ends up on a swap with Joe and Aubrey, or Joe and Wentworth, or Joe and David, or any combination of two returning players, she could be in a lot of trouble because it's well known that she's going after the returning players. But I really do like Victoria from what I've seen of Victoria. So I hope she sticks around. I'm feeling okay about it. That's really all I got for her. Alexa, who's your 14? And I guess Alexa, you want to finish yours and then I'll finish mine. And then
I'll finish up. So my 14 is David, which leaves Wendy at my 15. David and Kelly, I think, are in very similar situations in that unless they are on a tribe with a very small but specific group of people, they're in trouble. I've already talked about how the commas are anti-returnee. That's more than half of this cast right now. David clearly doesn't want to work with Kelly, and I'm sure Kelly, I think, isn't aware of how much he wants her gone, which is really good for him, because he's kind of slipping by with that. I think unless he ends up with Rick, I think he and War Dog would work together. I think he and Lauren could work together, but I see that more of if Michael Yerger and James ended up on the same tribe, that there was some sense of obligation to stay together, but not really. So that's what makes me incredibly nervous for David. And then Wendy, I talked about this in the recap. I think Wendy she's got nowhere to hide. And I think if she does release those chickens, no Manu is going to want to work with her. They're going to want her gone. And I think David would be kind of her main shield. And if she's not with David, I don't really know who's going to go to bat for her.
Yeah, I got Wendy at 14 and I go Aurora at 15. So I actually have Aurora in the last spot.
Wow.
Well, I just feel like right now,
that's fair.
What's happening with Wendy right now feels like what they did with Jatia back in Cagayan, where eventually she's going to go. But how crazy is it going to get before she goes? And so far, we have been told every week Wendy's going home, and Wendy has not gone home. And we're being told in the preview Wendy's going home. I'm thinking maybe she finds another way to survive another vote. And Wendy is kind of pulling this Colton Cumbie thing from his first season, where it's how is he doing this? How is he still in the game? This is insane. And
well, finish your thought. Sorry.
No, that's it. That's all. I was done.
To your and Carl's point, they need athletic people on these small tribes. She's really athletic. She might not even go to tribal council.
Yeah. If it's a swimming challenge, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
She's done very well in challenges.
Yeah. So Carl, you want to finish yours out then?
Yeah, actually, I got Kelly at 14 and I got Rick at 15.
Wow.
And the reason why I got Rick at 15 is because if Rick doesn't end up with David, say he doesn't end up with David and he ends up on a tribe with Kelly, then I can see Kelly going after Rick because she knows how tight him and David is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now, honestly, I don't think that, he's going home this week, but if that was the case, he'd be the one that Kelly would go after, just to kind of weaken David's gameplay because she knows him and David is real tight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that goes back. I mean, I agree with that, but then I also agree with Alexa, where it's how much does Wentworth actually know about Rick and David trying to come after her? Has War Dog said any of that? Because Rick and David, I think, have done a really good job of only telling the people, and then those people end up getting voted out. That Keith got voted out after they told him that they were going to go for Wentworth, and then Chris gets voted out. So it almost seems does she realize how close Rick and David are? And does she even realize that they're going after her? Because every week they might say it, but they haven't voted for her yet.
True. But I don't know. I think she's pretty smart, man. And again, like you said, has War Dog mentioned anything? Something
does War
tells
Dog
me
know?
He might have meant. Oh yeah, I mean, he has to know because every time that they thought about it, of course, David would say, "Don't tell War Dog," and then they end up telling him. So he has to know. Now the question is he telling Kelly anything? Yeah, I think he might be just a tad, but who knows?
In the Chris situation, he obviously did. Because they're still voting together. So there's still some form of alliance there, but I think it's a very like bubbled alliance. I don't know how fully baked it is.
It's a very, very thin alliance. Like anything can break it. That's how it is.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think this swap could be the thing that breaks it. I think you could end up in a situation here where like everybody who's voted together isn't even voting together this week because it's I met a new person who's better and I like them more, and that just happens. So that wraps up all of the power rankings for this week. We've gone through our 15. We've done our eliminators. Next week it's going to be Kellen from Ghost Island. So we've had 3 Ghost Islanders in our first 4, and Carl. So Carl, you're the representative of David versus Goliath right now. Everybody else is a Ghost Islander. Yeah, the Godfather, exactly. The Godfather. That's what I'll have to put this podcast as. Episode 4, predictions of power rankings with the Godfather. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. But so Kellen's coming on next week, Carl. You know, here you are kind of in between all the Ghost Islanders. So far, we've gotten 7 and 8 points from the first 2 Ghost Islanders. So maybe you could just be like, show that David versus Goliath is good at power rankings, and Ghost Island, we should probably not invite them anymore, you know, because they just can't get it right. They just can't get it right.
Absolutely.
Do you have any like other big? We had Brendan say he had like some theories on this season, I guess. But do you have any like big theories? You got any big bold predictions that you want to throw at us or anything?
No, man, I'm lost on it though. Like, for real, because again, this whole Extinction Island thing, it's got everybody wondering how is it going to transform for them to be able to get back in the game. How many people are they letting back in the game? All of that's, you know, no one knows. So it's kind of hard to go off of it because are they going to do it like what was the season? The season Johnny Fairplay was on. Remember when they had the 2 tribes, and then all the ones that got voted off, they came back as a tribe, and they ended up winning that challenge to get, you know, back in the game or whatever. So, like, are they going to do it like that? Is it going to be a group thing? Is it going to be an individual thing? You know what I'm saying? How is it gonna work? And how many people are coming back in? That's the only.
I guess another question that I could ask you is how many people do you think are actually going to end up quitting from Ghost Island or from Extinction Island, not Ghost Island, but how many do you think will actually end up quitting?
Well, I mean, how many are they going to allow to go?
Well, let's say right now, let's say 3 more people go, which would put us at 12. So we're down to 12 people left in the game, and 6 people are on Extinction Island.
On Extinction Island.
How many do you think would quit from Extinction Island by the time we actually got to the point of a challenge or a chance to get back in?
I say 2 out of the 6. I say at least 2 out of the 6 because again, I told y'all I can see Keith quitting, and depending on who goes there, would determine whether or not what Reem does, in my opinion, because she will be the one that's been there the longest. You know what I mean? And the longer you're there, the more wore out you get. The more, you know, the more time you got for stuff to be going on inside that head. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely,
I can see those 2 maybe possibly letting it get to them, depending on how long they actually have to stay out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm curious, like, what person who did get voted out first would be able to last for a really long time anyway. Because, you know, I mean, it's the whole thing of, like, if I got voted out, I would just stay on Extinction Island. Yeah, we can say that. But there's a difference if you're going in like Chris is right now, where it's day 8, and there's already 2 other people there. Whereas if you're going there with Reem, she was there 3 days alone. Now she's got Keith, and it was just her and Keith for 2 days. So, like, her first 5 days weren't the best 5 days that you could have at Extinction Island. And now
even when she got Keith, she's playing mother to Keith, so that's not really helping her out any because
which
at the same time she still don't because she still don't have nobody motivating her. You know what I mean? Because she's too busy having to motivate him.
Absolutely.
You know? So that's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. And now they get Chris, who I think will be more of a provider. I think that, you know, he'll be able to do a little bit more, but still, like, he's going to be doing it for himself. I doubt he's going to be trying to be like, hey, Reem and Keith, like, eat all the food that I catch or anything. I don't know what he's going to be able to do, but I feel like he'll probably be able to go out and catch fish if they have any type of gear. But I don't know if they have gear. So we'll see how it goes.
They don't have a large quantity of rice neither.
No,
they got to climb Mount Everest.
Right.
Yeah. And like I was thinking, they're probably burning more calories getting it than they are when they eat it. You know?
So they're not. I mean, one good thing is they're not making it easy for them. You know, that's the one good thing about it. It's not
Yeah.
like a kumbaya picnic over there. Like you got to struggle if you really want back in this game. So
And it's got to be hard. It's got to be. Otherwise, it would be like, oh, great. Like they're just there. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like the Outcast twist because we didn't see what they were doing. They just came back and it was like, yeah, we've only been giving them as much food as you've been getting. It's like, how do you know? Like, how do we know that?
Yeah, where have they been sleeping?
Right.
But in this situation, like we know that what they're going through, and it makes it a lot easier to grab onto at least. And that's
yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, Carl. Well, if you don't have anything else, we'll Alexa take it home unless you have anything else.
Final words.
No, man, I'm good, man. As always, enjoy talking with you guys. Y'all know that. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, no, I'm just pumped.
Yeah.
Ready to continue watching, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
We like having you here. And we like the headphones. Those are fun.
Hopefully I can carry it for my team. You know what I'm saying? I've been stuck with Reem, Victoria, and Wendy.
Yep.
I think you got some potential there. I think you do.
When you end up pulling out the winner, Carl, at least then you can rub that in our faces that we made 15 picks and didn't pick the winner. So you can really rub that in.
Gotcha.
All right, Alexa, why don't you take us home and do that for us.
And that's it. Thank you again, Carl, for coming on. We love having you on. We'll be back this Wednesday, a little after 9 p.m. Eastern, right after the episode 4. We'll be talking about the swap, doing our episode 4 recap. We will then be back on Sunday with our third Ghost Islander, as Phil said. We'll be talking to Kellen. Timing is still TBD. But in the meantime, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Listen to us on iTunes. If you are a $20 patron, someone just DM'd us their power rankings. If you're a $20 patron, send us your power rankings as soon as you can. You still have time to send them, but make sure to get those over to us, whether it's DM, email, however you guys contact us. And if you are not a patron, we definitely recommend you become a patron. For only $1, you can join our Facebook group. For $5, you join our Facebook group. And you can listen to our Q&A podcast, which I think Phil and I had our best one yet last week. Like, you guys are asking really ridiculous questions, and it's been pretty fun.
I'm pretty sure we name dropped Carl in that too. That definitely.
Yeah, Carl definitely was mentioned.
Carl, you were name dropped. So
forget how,
right?
but forget the context, but definitely brought up. And if you're a $10 patron, you get both of those things, and you get our retrospective podcast, which we'll also try to do this week. If not this week, we'll do it next week. And if you're a $20 patron, you get all of that, and you get to join our Power Rankings game. So go to patreon.com/Survivor Specialists. See whatever you're interested in, and we'd love to have you be a part of the community. It's been a lot of fun. But in the meantime, we'll be back this Wednesday, and thank you, Carl, for coming on. We always have a great time chatting with you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.